I think of Billy Wilder as like my screenwriting hero. But recently I saw this old interview with him, and some of the writing advice he gave actually kind of like freaked me out.
I don't like it. If we write a scene and we say we'll fix that later, we will manicure it and go to the next scene, to the next scene, I just go back to the first scene and until it is about as good as possible. I may change something subsequently, but I never write first version, second version, third version.
What I get from this is that he doesn't write drafts.
It was beyond belief. These were first and only drafts of music.
I was shocked by that. My own process is literally the exact opposite of that. Like, I constantly write what I call vomit drafts, where I rush through the first draft and just try to finish it as fast as I possibly can. And then that way I have some pages that I can actually work with. Now I'm going to have to try it his way. So here's what I'm going to do. 3 things. 1, develop an idea. 2, outline. And then 3, write the script. And as I'm writing the script, I'm going to be consistently going back through and editing as I go. This is so different from how I normally write scripts, but here we go.
I'm going to be writing an animated TV comedy pilot, and I came up with this backstory. A mad scientist falls in love with this doofus with a huge heart in her lab one night. They have children, triplets actually, and the kids catch that mad scientist gene. The mother ends up running off being hunted by the government, and the father is left to raise these 3 boys who are way smarter than him, but definitely lacking on the empathy side. Can he teach them how to be as loving as he is, or will they be too distracted with their goals for world domination?
So that's pretty much the idea in a nutshell. I'm about to move on to the outline process. I finished the outline and then put it away for a couple of days and then just came back to it and reread it now. And I'm really unhappy with how it came out and just kind of second guessing myself a lot. I think I'm just gonna like go for a walk and clear my mind, and then I'm actually gonna go back to the Billy Wilder interview and watch some advice he had in there about writing outlines and just try to take another shot at this.
Well, structure to me is compare it with building a house, but it has to have a very solid thing so that the second act follows the first act. And it's strong enough to keep the audience in the seats to see the third act, what is happening there.
So taking Billy Wilder's advice, I rewrote my outline, but this time I did it very carefully so I have a nice strong house. This part took way longer than usual, but there was a lot less second guessing once I was done. I really understood who my characters were and what needed to happen in the story. But now, on to the tough part, writing the script. Usually when I write one of those vomit drafts for a 30-minute pilot, it takes me like 5 days, maybe a week, but this time it took me forever.
Alright, so I finished the script and here's what I learned. The first big thing was that constantly revising kept me really familiar with the story and the characters. In the past, when I would speed through a first draft, some days I felt like I really knew the story I was telling, but other days I would be second guessing myself and wasn't exactly sure what story or characters I was working with. The next big thing was the outlining process. I was way more careful when I was going through the outline, and it made it way more of a reliable map that I could actually follow. And I trusted my instincts on it, and going back to it, it just all felt very familiar. The last big takeaway from this experiment and challenge was just that it was so much fun, which seems kind of crazy because took longer and was more difficult to go back through and revise. But I really felt like I was actually writing, like I felt like I was really in my work I would be stopping to consider, a stronger verb to use, or maybe there's a different way for a character to enter a scene, and just all of those great things that I should have been doing before. And that's my biggest thing about using this Billy Wilder method of revising as you go, is that it really helps you stay connected to your work and the story you're telling. And that's extremely important. The other thing I just want to mention too is like, for me, I think there was a time and a place for the vomit draft. A younger version of me that wasn't able to complete scripts, this was very helpful. If you're somebody who is still just trying to finish a screenplay, it can be a helpful tool to help you get to the end to get to that finish line. But if you're somebody who's been doing that for a long time and you consistently finish scripts, at least first drafts, I would consider trying this method, and really pushing yourself and asking, am I really writing to the best of my ability? Because that's a big takeaway that I've learned from this. But yeah, let me know in the comments what your process is when it comes to rewriting. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching.